All right. So today I just wanted to touch on how I set my GAC defenses and the strategies that I use in order to determine what I'm going to put on defense. This may or may not be helpful for some people. Hopefully, somebody gets some value out of it. I think a good strategy, especially for players that are more in the Division three and under divisions, may get some benefit out of this. So, if you're struggling in GAC and want some tips on what you can do to set up your defense to poise you for the most chance for success on offense, this may help you. So, for context, I am Brick Hardmeat. I'm a 3.7, actually I might be 3.8 at this point, player. So still in Division 3. Let's see. Yeah, 3.7. Yeah, so I'm busting out of Division 3 anytime. Already have. Because I think the cutoff is 3.79. Anyway, that's not the point of this video. So I can just give you a quick rundown so you're familiar with my roster. Obviously a work in progress like everybody's, but my main squads I have kind of a partial Darth Revan team. I'm going back and trying to get Malik at this point, but I have some pretty strong Night Sisters I can rely on offense. Got an okay crew, not a great supporting cast for First Order. One of my strongest teams is my Padme team, with Anakin, Kenobi, and Padme, C-3PO, and Ahsoka. That's my arena team. I have some decent clones. I have a GAS, only at 5-star at this point, but okay Shaak Ti, Gear 12. But just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm working with, and the rest are mainly Gear 12s or under characters. And also I do have a pretty strong Grievous by proxy from grinding the gas unlock tunes. So pretty decent droid squad. So first thing I do in GAC is I look at my opponent's roster. Depending on how ambitious I want to be, I may pull up their .gg page, which I will do in this round. So for context, I have made Kyber all of the last 4 seasons, and I'm poised to make Kyber this time around too. So I've had a lot of success recently. So far, I am 8-1 in this latest season of GAC. So I've had a lot of success, and even my one loss, I think mainly I shot myself in the foot. So what I've done is I've kind of changed my defensive strategy around, and I think I have sort of the best premise and the best thought process to succeed in these lower divisions, because you're up against a lot of folks that don't have fully developed rosters. Obviously, they don't have all of the tools that a tier 1 division 1 player has, or maybe a high end in division 2. So there are definitely holes in a lot of players' games in these lower divisions, and especially fleets. Fleets are a huge area where a lot of players could do some they can need to do some work. They're underdeveloped. And hey, what's up, Boski, in the chat? Thanks, man. Glad you're digging the setup. So let's just get in here and look at my opponent and see what they've done. I look at their profile, click on their icon. So I was automatically pretty scared by this. A full R7 Darth Revan team with Malik. That's a tough team to beat at this GP. But I then look at the inventory, just kind of get an idea of what I'm looking at overall. Mainly I'm trying to look at relict characters. Those are going to be the strongest ones. And then also as a secondary thought process, I'm looking at the Gear 12s that they have. And then maybe to another extent, I may look at sort of the full teams that they have. Because some players might just have a few relict characters, but not necessarily have a great supporting cast. So obviously Darth Revan is a area of focus for them. Full R7, or as my co-host Darth Darkett likes to refer to it, an R35 team. So yeah, pretty tough. And then they also have a Jedi Knight Revan R7, so that's pretty tough with Jolee and Grandmaster Yoda. No other relic characters. I would probably be more scared if they had a a relict GK, but only Gear 12. So there's two tough squads. Then they have some. It looks like they have a Commander Luke, which is strong, but not a whole lot around Commander Luke. So no relict rebels supporting cast. So I'm not too scared. So I'm just glancing at stuff. Nothing here is really crazy to me, other than the Darth Revan and the Jolee or the Jedi Knight Revan that they have here. So also they do have some Relic Empire characters, which is a little concerning, but again, they don't have much of a supporting cast. So next thing I'm going to do is with this player, I'm going to kind of compare GAC stats to see what they're looking at and where what their history is in GAC, what type of banners they've achieved, and what's their win to law or offensive wins to defensive holds stats, just to kind of get an idea of what type of player they are and what the highest rank in GAC they've achieved is. So you want to scroll down, and I like to look at GP too. Like they're pretty similar GP wise around me, which I feel better about. I'm not just beating up a smaller profile. But yeah, so they're 3.7, right near where I'm at. So I like to go down here and take a look at a few different things. So banners earned, I don't particularly pay attention to, but so they're strong on offense. They have a lot of lifetime offensive battles at this GP level, or this division. 165 defense, nothing crazy, not a great ratio. I actually picked up a tip from a prominent YouTube streamer, End All Be All. He was on the Gambit podcast or the Gambit stream recently, and what he does is divide the offensive battles won by the successful battle defends, and that tells him anything basically over 40% is good, under means they generally have a softer defense that doesn't get a ton of holds. So, and I actually did my own, and I was right. I think I was like 39%, so pretty good in End All Be All's scale. But other things I like to look at too are undersized wins, just to kind of see. Okay, only 22 lifetime, so it doesn't look like they're getting a whole lot of those. I also like to look at, like I said, the rank. So the best they've achieved is Division 3. Rank 1,000 in Erodium. So pretty high in Erodium, relatively speaking, not top 10 or anything, but yeah, they haven't made Kyber yet, it looks like. So that's all the scouting I've done in the game. And then with this player that I'm going up against, I definitely want to look more into, as my game times out here, I definitely want to look more into their history. So I'm going to try and pull up their .gg page. Now what I do for this, if you don't know of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, swgoh.gg, it's a great resource for GAC. I definitely use it. I use it very often. One thing, before I get into that actually, is I also look at fleets. I forgot to mention this. So I like to look at the fleets and see what they're working with. So they use a Chimera fleet at this point. So they're not using meta fleets for their ship arena. So that's a little concerning for them because they don't have a Malevolence or a Negotiator. I do have a now 6-star Malevolence, so I should have a really strong ship advantage. And I don't honestly know if this fleet they have here with a 6-star Houndstooth is going to be able to beat my my Rebel fleet with Millennium Falcon and Houndstooth. Yeah, I don't think they will, but I'm not going to bank on it, but I feel pretty good about my chances. I'm not really scared here, and I like to look at capital ships too, just to see what they're working with. So yeah, obviously they have Chimera. Yeah, nothing really I should be worrying about with these rest of these ships. So I have an advantage there too. All right, so back to the .gg. So what you do with Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes .gg is I type in the guild name. That seems to be the most surefire way to pull up my opponent. If you type in their name, there could be multiple people with the same name. So all you do is open up in a Google search the name of the guild, and then just swgoh.gg. So that's what I do to pull up the player. So I'll show you. I already have it pulled up here. I'll show you what their profile looks like. So yep, that should be on the stream. You guys should be able to see that. So looking at that, I'm at their guild page here. I'm assuming this is German. I'm not super worldly, but I'm just going to take a guess here. And normally this is a smaller guild. You know, they only have not too many members here. So, but what it does is automatically populates by total GP. So you just look for the GP around yours because that's who you're probably matched up with. And boom, there's my opponent. So I'm in there. I'm on their profile for swgoh.gg, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at their GAC history. I don't necessarily care about their current ranks in Fleet Arena or just Squad Arena. I don't really care about that. I want to click down here, GAC history. This is the link. This is the money link that's going to give you the information you need. So I have a ton of ads because I do not support swgoh.gg, but I should. I've been meaning to do that. It's really a valuable resource, and they're doing great work there. So what it does is it breaks down round by round, the 3 most recent rounds of GAC, what my opponent has put on offense and defense. It gives you a really good insight as to what they're working with. So we're going to go the most recent round here. I tried to pull this up earlier, and I couldn't pull up the 23rd or the 16th for whatever reason. I'll try here in a second. But so this is their most recent round. So you can see here, Pakater versus Captain Coben. So this was their round 1. They won 1537 to 1497. So automatically I'm thinking about banners. That's a pretty ugly match from a banners perspective. If you're one-shotting your opponent in Division 3, you're looking at a score. You should be looking at a score around 1750. That would be a really good score in Division 3. So that's a pretty rough score, 1537. It looks like they probably stalled out on a few things, didn't get a full clear. So again, that is just at a glance, that is my objective in GAC for what I'm doing from a defense setting perspective and offensive strategy. I'm trying to get a full clear no matter what. So looking at this, they take their Empire on offense, which we remember, if we reference back to our just initial scouting of their profile in the game, they have a Relict EP and a Relict Vader. So they take them on offense, which, I don't know, I guess whatever you want to do. I necessarily might not. I mean, Vader is extremely powerful, but Relic Tunes, I don't know. I would consider putting them on defense, maybe. But I'm not here to criticize their strategy. I'm just trying to glean information. So I'm just basically trying to look to see what they take for offense generally. And I'm going to look at the next round and the round after to see if I can see a pattern that may give me an advantage strategically. So they even bring CLS on offense. So that Relic CLS goes on offense. And this is really the thing that I'm looking for. Darth Revan is saved for offense for this guy or gal. So yeah, that's a little relieving, but I do want to see their next few rounds and see what else they're working with. And they bring that Jedi Knight Revan as well on offense. So then they two-manned a crappy Rebels team, it looks like. And then they lost on Fleet, so that's why their score was so low. They lost, their Chimera failed on Negotiator, which isn't surprising. So that's round 1. Now, I like to jump over to the defense as well, just to see what they're working with, see what they've said on defense. So they had an okay clones team. You can see here their opponent actually failed. You can see here with Phoenix, failed on their clones. Then they had to use their own clones and they finally beat the opposing clone team. So then we've got Ewoks, we have Bounty Hunters, Crew, First Order, and a pretty weak Home 1 team on defense. So nothing crazy. Oh, and Geonosians. Okay, Geonosians and Night Sisters. So pretty standard defense. Nothing super intimidating, especially considering relic levels. Like, sure, Asajj is relict, but the bugs aren't. I'm not really scared about this guy's defense. Now this is just one round, so again, I want to look at round two and see what else I'm working with. So in round two, my opponent actually lost this round. So I'm looking here. So they they failed with their Darth Revan against another Darth Revan, which is crazy because that's an R7 Darth Revan team, full R7. So, but that's good for me. They're taking Darth Revan on offense, so I don't really have to worry about facing it. And it looks like pretty much they're pretty consistent. You know, they're bringing Padme on offense. It looks like they just save everything for offense. That's what I'm looking at here. They have Darth Revan, Jedi Knight Revan, Padme, this pretty strong Relic Empire team. Their Relic CLS with Rebels. So nothing crazy as far as defensively. So I'm looking at the defense here, and it's pretty much the same as last round. You've got Night Sisters, First Order, Ewoks, Bounty Hunters, Home One again, Geos again, Clones again. So they are consistent if nothing else. So they probably just set their defenses and let it roll for the whole season, or the whole season, or at least the whole round. So that's an advantage for me. If they're this predictable, I should be able to beat them pretty easily. So again, I'm looking at round 3 here, and I'm just seeing more of the same. You know, they're bringing the same teams for offense that they did before, and they won this one because their opponent didn't attack. Because the way I know that is their score is 1640, and there's no defensive statistics to pull from. So I am going to try and peek just to try and further my hypothesis that this guy takes everything for offense. See if I can pull out. Yeah, this is what I was getting earlier. So I was getting a data error. So that's okay. We've got enough data here to make I think a pretty educated guess about what's going to happen here. So I'm going to go back to the game, so you can pull that up and start setting some defenses here. So, like I said, I try to go for a pretty offense-heavy strategy, similar to my opponent, but I'm definitely far more efficient than my opponent. So that is my strategy that I go with. So I am not going to try and outsmart my opponent. I'm not going to try and put strong defensive teams on defense to try and make them stall out. I'm not going to put my Darth Revan on defense or my Grievous on defense to see if I can kind of trick out my opponent. Because I did see in their history they did stall on Darth Revan, but that Darth Revan squad also had Malak, which I don't. And I don't anticipate my Darth Revan really giving him much of a challenge. So what I'm going to do is do what I always do. I'm going to put a fairly light defense that may get some holds and may have some tricky things that my opponent may underestimate, but nothing that's going to detract from my offensive capabilities. I'm going to have all of my strong offensive teams to tackle his defense, his or she's defense, with ease. I'm not going to at any point, my objective is to not at any point think, dang it, I should have saved this team for offense so I'd have that tool to take out this team. That is the opposite of what I'm trying to do here. So the one area where I do have the capabilities to put a pretty strong defensive fleet relative to my opponent on defense and then take a strong offensive fleet is with my Rebels. I can put a pretty strong Home One fleet on defense that I don't need for offense that is going to probably stall my opponent. They're probably not going to be able to defeat my fleet. So that's what I'm going to do. I start with fleets generally. So let's put, here we go. Got Akbar. I'm going to put my Houndstooth because I sure don't need them on my Malevolence fleet. My opponent is going to struggle with this, I think. I would be very surprised if they could beat this fleet. So I use Millennium Falcon and my wonderful Biggs on my starting 3. And then I have Ghost, or having a brain malfunction here. The Phoenix ships, okay? So I put them on. I put them next. I don't know what would be summoned by the CPU. Probably some type of tank, I guess. Or I'm sorry, I don't take that ship. I take Biston or Cassian ship and Bistons, and then I just throw Anakin in there to boost the GP to intimidate my opponent. So yeah, this fleet gets the job done. This fleet has got a ton of holds for me in Division 3 and Division 4. It's a strong fleet against all of the non-meta fleets. Against anything other than Malevolence and Negotiator, this is a strong fleet. This gives them trouble. I don't know about Finalizer or the Radis. Haven't had much exposure, but not many people have them at this point. So once this loads, I don't know what the deal is. Another thing I try to do is I try to look at the feats before I set my defenses, because I want to get as many feats accomplished as possible. So I'm going to go here and see how my feats are looking. I'm going to bring my troopers on offense, so that's not a problem. I definitely will be able to get this feat, probably on their Ewoks. The full clears, that's just going to come naturally from wiping the board and getting a full clear. Undersized, that one's going to be tough. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that off in this round. That's a lot of undersized. But I'm going to try. I mean, I try to use undersized attacks if I can when appropriate, but I'm certainly not going to sacrifice banners or potentially lose because I'm trying to go for a feat. Yeah, squad arena battles. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. And then really this one, the Bestman occupation. I could try to go for this, but I don't have mods on my Imperial Trooper. But I do have Vader and Boba Fett, and I'm taking them for offense anyway. But I probably was going to set Bounty Hunter, so that's good that I looked at that. I am not going to put Boba Fett on defense. I'll put some other garbage Bounty Hunter with them. Hopefully I just remember when I attack to try and use Vader and Boba Fett together with a Stormtrooper. So I'm going to set the rest of my defenses here. MF Bison. I see you. He says, if your second best team can beat their best team, then they can't beat your best team. You can just place Darth Revan. Yeah, they have a really strong Darth Revan. It's like a full R7. So I'm just saving everything for offense. But appreciate you guys being in the chat and checking out. Anybody who's watching, thank you. Thank you very much. Hopefully you guys can get some benefit out of here. So I use some squad management tools here. I try to split it up offense and defense. I kind of regret it though, because oftentimes I use defensive teams on offense and offensive teams on defense in these tabs. So, but it gives me a general idea. So my top territory, I like to put Rebels up there. It's just kind of an okay Rebel team. I'm not expecting much out of these guys. I don't want my opponent to be able to underman these teams easily, essentially. That's really the only thing I care about. So it's not a crazy team by any means. Probably will get one-shotted. Going to put another okay team in here. Probably... I like my Ewoks on defense. This team gets underestimated often. I have a pretty fast Paplu, so that throws people off and hopefully makes it anti-trooper free. And then in this territory, I like to beef up the bottom territory a little bit, try to put some relics in there or some more difficult tunes that... And kind of the thought there is that I'm hoping my opponent won't be able to easily clear the front zone so that they can see the back to see what they need to save for offense and not use a squad they didn't mean to. So I try to put a little more challenging squads up there. So I'm going to put my my shot clones in there. And then I'll probably put bounty hunters, I think, without Boba Fett. Look at that great memory of mine. You know what? I'm going to throw... Actually, you know what? I'm going to go with... I've been using this Separatist team that's tripped a few people up. Yeah, I'll use the Separatist team. That is going to be a really rough bounty hunter squad without Django, too. But whatever. I like this team. It's been getting some holds. People don't seem to know what to do with Nest, even though it's only 6-star and 9 year 9. So that's not gonna. Again, nothing's gonna detract from my offense. Not whatsoever. So in the back here, again, I'm not putting anything super strong. I guess I'll throw my bounty hunters. With these are going to be rough. These are going to be rough. I don't even think I have mods on Greedo. Sure, we'll throw Mando in there too. Why not? This is some real garbage. But it's okay. It's okay. That's what I'm going for. And then I'll throw this Jedi team in here with Bastila. Who knows? Maybe they'll get a sneaky win. They have before. A sneaky hold. So yeah, I'm all set. I'm set. I'm ready to go. I still have quite a few teams for offense. So my strongest teams that I have remaining, I still have my arena Padme team. Even because that's another thing. I don't know that my opponent is going to save everything for offense again. They could completely change their strategy. Especially given that I don't have their full Grand Arena history, they could very well change it up and put, Jedi Knight Revan on defense or Darth Revan on defense. Just try to change it up, save one or the other for offense. So I have my whole roster essentially at my disposal. I have sort of my bastardized Darth Revan team. Been using on offense. I've been using Darth Revan with Geobrood Alpha, Watt, Thrawn. Who else? Oh yeah, Nasty Basti, and I can't remember who else. But that's been working pretty well. Actually, I could tell you. I have it saved here. So these are pretty much my offensive team. So this is the team. Yeah. So Thrawn. I guess that was everybody. Yeah, I named 5. Lost count. So I have pretty much all of these offensive teams ready to go. So I have my Night Sisters, which are extremely versatile. In terms of my opponent, they could definitely take out their Jedi Knight Revan team pretty easily, knock on wood. So if they did put Jedi Knight Revan on defense, I can take them out, no problem. My Padme is a pretty good Darth Revan counter. Not super reliable. I don't know how they would hold up against an R35 full R7 Darth Revan team, but it's a nice team to have, and they can take down just about anything else that I'm going to see in my opponent's roster. And I have Resistance here still for offense. They're a great bounty hunter counter, also a fantastic First Order counter as well. So. And there's that Darth Revan team I was talking about. Then I also kind of have like a hodgepodge because I don't have Malik and my HK sucks. So just kind of a hodgepodge team there. I still have crew. I do use crew with Watt. That's a lot of fun. That's a great Night Sister counter. So the reason I'm telling you all of this is because I have some really good offensive teams to take out worst case scenario if my opponent did set a bunch of tough teams on defense. I'm still going to have the best shot at beating them. I didn't put anything on defense that's going to sacrifice my ability to get the full clear. So that's kind of the strategy that I go for. Hopefully you guys found some benefit in this. That's my mindset when I'm playing. I have tinkered, like I talked about before, I have tinkered with trying to put teams specifically on defense that will help stall my opponent. But it gets dicey because especially when you may only have one counter for a particular squad. It's really difficult to foresee that. And if your opponent does something different this time around, it can completely screw up your plan. If you have backup counters, maybe you can start doing that. And once the GP level grows, that's what high-level players are doing in Division 2 and Division 1. They are being more strategic with their defensive strategies and trying to get more holds, and specifically trying to get your opponent to stall out on your defense, which is a completely valid strategy. I'm not dogging it by any means. I'm just saying that for the lower divisions, I've found this tactic to be the most effective. Like I said, I've been on a tear in GAC lately. I've used this tactic as well on my alt, which I haven't played in months, but I did really well in GAC with my alt, doing a very similar tactic. But I think it works great. Hopefully, like I said, somebody got some benefit out of this. And if you guys like this kind of stuff, we can keep doing them. Just checking chat here real quick. So MF Bison said things like crew have a damage check just by existing, but I've been keeping crew for banners. Yeah. Crew is First Order is a great team, very underrated. I think a lot of people tend to throw them on defense just because they're a pain in the butt. I actually failed on a crew last round. Matter of fact, the crew is just. I couldn't take it down. I was using Night Sisters of all things, which was crazy. I still got the win and got the full clear, but I was using my Relic Night Sisters against crew, and I just could not land Plague. It was a Relic crew, and they had a Relic OG Kylo as well, and I just could not get Plague to stack on either one of those characters, and I ended up timing out. It was really frustrating, but that's a rare case. I don't think that's happening consistently. I mean, like I said, with Watt, you can use Watt with First Order, and I didn't really explain how that works. What you do is you give the tank tech to crew, you give the weapons tech to First Order executioner, and anytime First Order executioner kills a Night Sister, they cannot be revived, other than zombie. So it's a really nice strategy when you're going against Night Sisters. I don't know how well it would work if you have like really strong Relic Night Sisters. Of course, if you're talking about comparable gear levels or somewhat similar gear levels, it could work well. My Watt's pretty under geared at this point, and only at 5-star, but that can be a good strategy. I'll see how it goes. I have other things to counter Night Sisters, like I have my Geos as well, which are a pretty good counter. So. But that's it, guys. Appreciate you tuning in, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for checking it out.